What up everyone, Talon here, and today we're going to take a look at the G&G 2024 CP, one of the new high kappa inspired pistols from G&G. We're going to see the features, the functionality, we're going to do a deep dive. Let's get into it. G&G just dropped some brand new products into their lineup, and one of those that we are looking at today is the 2024 CP, or Competition Pistol. These are going to be G&G's imagination on the high kappa series. We're utilizing a very similar ergonomics and very similar layout to the pistol itself in order to have any indoor players utilize them and be familiar with them when they go and play competitively. And there's a lot of really cool features, not just aesthetically, but based on performance that I feel like you guys are going to appreciate and something you probably should take a closer look at. So go ahead and consider subscribing, leaving a like, and sharing with all of your indoor buddies just to see what they think about this brand new product. So what I'm going to have here today is going to be the Mark II and the Mark III of the 2024 CPs. I currently do not have the Mark I. That has already been sold and already accounted for to a brand new player, but we're going to have plenty of things to look at when it comes to the Mark IIs and the Mark IIIs. There's not going to be any difference between the Mark series. The only difference is going to be cosmetics, and that's going to be more so this slide, what type of cuts and what type of serrations have been done to the slide that are going to separate the Mark I from the II to the III. And in order to help identify which one is which, if you're looking at the boxes here, the Mark I is going to utilize a different colored sleeve compared to the Mark II, which is green, and the Mark III, which is a purple magenta coloration. So makes it very easy to identify. And if you're looking at someone's pistol, just out and about in the wild, you can also look at the serial number that is on the side here. You'll notice that it's going to have a Mark III if you have the Mark III, Mark II if you get the Mark II, and Mark I if you've got the Mark I in hand. So you can confidently identify which one is which. Now I know that I said that this was a retelling of the classic high kappa series that are available on the Airsoft market, and this I feel like is going to do a much better job outside of the box. The classic high kappa tail, you get a pistol and then you spend a bunch of money on internal or external upgrades in order to get your high kappa to work at the degree that you want. This, I believe, in messing around with it, is something that's going to better bridge the gap. That is something that you're going to spend a little bit more money towards, but you don't have to spend anything as far as aftermarket upgrades. This, I think, already does a lot of what you are looking for outside the box. And at the heart of this, the flagship upgrade when it comes to the 2024 CPs is going to be the brand new patented PAI HopUp unit. The P for precision, A for accuracy, and I for innovation. And there's a lot of things that are going really well for this HopUp unit that you don't typically get in brand new products outside the box. But we're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to do a quick little tip to butt and overall overview of what this is coming with. The pistol, including the magazine, is going to come into 1 pound 10 ounces, which overall is going to be a pretty average weight when you look at something like the high kappa, which is going to have a polymer frame as well as a metal slide assembly. This is going to be a full blowback operating pistol, and that's going to go for the Mark I, the Mark II, and the Mark III. The Mark III that I have in my hand is what I'm going to be showing off. The magazines by themselves are going to come with green gas magazines. The magazines, shockingly, are going to weigh in at 6 ounces. These magazines are incredibly lightweight compared to other types of pistols that are within the high kappa series or high kappa family. This has been an incredible innovation from G&G, making your magazines extremely lightweight so you can go and hold more of them on your belt. For any type of magazines or additional magazines on your belt, typically with the heavier weight, you need taller magazine pouches so that heavier weight magazine doesn't lose itself if you're running around indoors or even outdoors. Because those magazines have come down in weight, that overall concern of losing them is greatly reduced, and much lower chance that these are going to wiggle out of their pouches, so you don't have to spend your time between games looking for your magazines. And because they're not dropping, you're not potentially breaking parts on the magazine, like the base plate or the feed lips. Anyone that's run pistols or gas blowbacks, you know the struggle. In the case of the overall pistol, it is full blowback, which means that the magazine or the slide is going to work in conjunction with the magazine to hold that slide back on the last round, in which case you can just drop it out, insert a fresh one, hit the slide release, and you're back and into business. This is a classic full blowback operation. The biggest difference is the amount of serration and cutaway that G&G has gotten away with. This is designed to lighten not only the overall pistol, but lighten the slide and lighten the operation at which the force of gas that is needed to get that slide backward and operating, which means more gas can go behind the BB and get it to operate well. One of the additional benefits of having a cutaway slide is also going to be the fact that your slide operation is going to be much faster. So anyone that is very in tune with your trigger pulls are going to be able to squeeze that just a little bit faster, and the pistol is going to be able to keep up with you. At the very front of the pistol, we have this very large orange tip. Now, in order to try to preserve it as much as possible, we have not done too much as far as trying to get it off. We've attempted just a little bit, but there seems to be a bunch of glue that is holding that in place. And we're also unsure as to what threading is going to be underneath there, but we are led to believe it is going to be a standard 14 counterclockwise. The barrel assembly is slightly moving, a little bit of movement front and back, which is not abnormal for anyone that is running pistols, but I do feel like compared to other brands, that barrel movement is much less compared to other brands. So you do get a little bit more stability in your hop-up movement and your barrel movement. Further back on the slide, we do have a cutaway built into the slide that is going to be for your micro red dots. So anyone that prefers having a red dot, very small one on the back of your pistol slide, that is going to be readily available from G&G right out of the box. Now I am going to tell you that this is not going to be for a RMR, a classic Trijicon. This is going to be for the slimmer Holosun type of footprint. So the bolts, instead of being wider, they're going to be closer together. Your front and rear iron sights, if you don't need a micro red dot, are going to be slightly raised. This, I believe, is going to be done in conjunction with a tracer unit or a mock suppressor, although we see less mock suppressors within Airsoft specifically and more for that tracer unit option, especially if you're doing something that's going to be indoors. Everyone loves their tracer units. Why wouldn't you throw one on there? The iron sights are going to be relatively classic. Your raised front iron sight is going to be including a fiber optic orange piece that is going to help illuminate where that front post is, and then your backs are going to be just a solid plate. I personally prefer this rather than having multiple fiber optic points that you need to try to measure up. I would much rather have a flat face rear post and then a fiber optic front post. And that's just personal preference. The 2024 CP, much like a high kappa, is going to be a hammer fire system. So as long as you have that hammer backwards, you are able to press in on this beaver tail, and then you can get it to fire. And you can pull the hammer back, and you can do all of that operation. Now, once you get it started, with every fire, the slide is going to go backwards and operate the system for you in a semi-automatic configuration. I should also let you know that if you don't have a solid grip on the beaver tail, it is not going to fire until you hit the beaver tail, and then you can get it to fire. Also, anyone who wants to engage the safety on their 2024 CPs, when you have the hammer back, that is when you can engage the rear safety. So once you have that pressed up, nothing is going to happen. Press down, and then you're going to be able to fire. Your safety will not engage if your hammer is not backwards. It is going to want to start to move just a little bit, but does not go all the way up. The safety only engages when that hammer is completely backwards. So just a forewarning for people who are not familiar with how the base 1911 safeties are supposed to work. The frame of the 2024 is going to be a lightweight polymer, which is going to be a little bit easier to grasp, and it does cut down on the overall weight of your 2024. So that is a positive, and that is something that a lot more modern firearms and airsoft replicas are going towards anyway. So really appreciate that. The 2024 is designed to be completely ambidextrous. So not only is your safety ambidextrous, but your slide release is also ambidextrous. You have your slide release and your safety, slide release and safety. And you might also be already pointing out, Talon, the magazine release is designed to be on one side. There's no ambidextrous safety. Well, my very astute viewer, you can remove the magazine release and you can exchange it to the other side. So if you are someone that is a left-handed shooter, you do have that option. Simply press that outwards. There's going to be a very small Allen screw that you can undo. There's going to be a spring and the rest of the bolt that you can simply just mirror over, press that through, retighten it, and you're good to go. And then you have a full left-handed operated pistol. You'll also notice at the very front, just ahead of the slide release, there are going to be a couple of paddles. Those are designed more for the competition aspect of these CPs. Because they are competition pistols, we want some aspects or some features that are going to be for competition shooting. These are designed in the case of if you're pressing outwards and presenting, you can put your support hand thumb right up there, and that gives you a little bit more leverage to hold and grasp onto the pistol. In the case of Airsoft, very soft recoiling, pretty much no mitigation that you have to do whatsoever. I mean, you can pretty easily just hold it out like this with only a couple fingers and you're not going to lose it. It is still good if you're going to utilize this for real steel or competition pistol training, just for that muscle memory. Still getting that point of force and getting a solid grip every single time, just so you can go through the practice, the motion, and getting it completely dialed in. On the very bottom of the frame, you have multiple points of Picatinny. These are going to be for either a universal type of holster, like the Omnivore, if I remember correctly, where because of the paddles on the side of the frame, it does make it harder for a standard high kappa holster to work in tandem with this. So if you use the Omnivore, which is going to have the attachment point on the very bottom here, that will allow you to holster into that proprietary Omnivore holster. Otherwise, you can also use this for any type of laser or flashlight attachment, and then utilize the Navrich universal holster that is going to attach via the trigger guard on the very bottom here. So instead of pressing downwards, you instead are going to press it from the side and in. So that is going to be an option for anyone that wants to utilize this. Otherwise, people that run high kappas, honestly, I haven't seen many use holsters at all to begin with. They kind of just walk it out to the field. They remove the magazine, walk it back to the staging, put it kind of into their chest rig, and that's that. They really don't have a point or a holster to slide this inside of. They just walk out with it, which is cool, which is all right. To each their own. While we're towards the very front here, you will notice, as I pull this backwards, there is a very large face to the spring guide. What you can do, if you've got just small enough fingers, you can press a tool outward and your slide is still going to be retained and held in. Now, what is unique and special about this tool is that it is going to adjust not only your trigger length of pull, but it also is going to adjust your HopUp. Your HopUp adjustment goes through the very bottom of the trigger guard, and you can make those adjustments on the fly. Now, what is unique about the HopUp unit, like I had mentioned before, is they do have coined their own emblem that has to do with the new patented HopUp unit, the PAI that you see embossed onto the box here. Now, the PAI stands for the precision, accuracy, and innovation. Accuracy, or excuse me, the P, it stands for precision, and that is going to allow for every notch of adjustment is going to be 1900th of a millimeter of movement. That gets you to that notch. The A for accuracy means that there are 39 points or 39 notches of adjustment onto this HopUp unit. We did see claims that you could hop 4 O's. We did take it outside. We had 3 6s at the time, and we were able to hop 3 6s from this pistol right here, which is incredible. I personally don't know of many pistol HopUp units that are going to allow out of the box for you to hop 3 6s, and they did hop. It wasn't like they went 70 feet or 80 feet and then dropped. No, they did have actual backspin. So that is incredible that G&G was able to get this system to work with heavyweight BBs. So anyone, anywhere, you can use whatever BB weight you prefer. And then the I is going to stand for innovation, where the entire total length of adjustment turn on the HopUp unit, if you take 1900th, multiply it 39 times, you get 0.74. That is 0.74 millimeters. So that's 7400th of a millimeter of total turn of adjustment. So it doesn't take much to either get it all the way maxed out or all the way minimized as far as HopUp pressure. So it can be a little finicky as far as totally dialing your HopUp unit in, but I will sacrifice the time it takes to tune it in order to, sit here, have my HopUp unit tool, go in through the very top here, make a small adjustment, pull it out, shot, make a small adjustment, shot, instead of having to take my entire slide assembly off, disassembling the barrel from the slide, and then making an adjustment on that wheel there. I would much rather prefer this, in my opinion. You can let me know down in the comment section below if you really think that that is any use, or what your thoughts are on that HopUp unit. Do you really feel like there's any actual use to hopping up to a 0.40 BB? Just also want to remind you, more mass or the heavier weight is going to have more kinetic energy either getting through brush or impacting that energy onto your target. So there can be a use case where heavier weight BBs are going to work well for you. But you let me know down in the comments section below. Now the last thing I want to talk about is going to be the magazine as far as the total overview. The magazines, I will remind you, are 6 ounces in weight, incredibly lightweight. And these are going to be without gas and without BBs. The magazine capacity is going to be about 29 rounds, so classic high kappa capacity. The magazines are going to be either green gas or CO2. So you have the option later on if you want to run a higher pressure for outdoors for CO2, or you want to run that classic green gas option if CO2 is not available either at your field or in your country, depending on where you are. These are 100% Tokyo Marui compatible. So if you are looking at getting either a primary arms adapter, a tap adapter, the TM high kappa magazine inserts can work and can fit. The only thing that I also want to point out to you is that there is this magwell bevel on the very bottom here, which does a very good job, on the very bottom finger, having a solid grip, pressing out inwards, as well as helping assist push that magazine into the frame here. So now that I've showed everything as far as an overview of these new 2024 competition pistols, there's a lot of positive things that come through with this as far as features as well as functionality. Being able to have something that works really well outside of the box allows you to have that accuracy and consistency of HopUp adjustment, as well as having the same form and fitment of a high kappa system that a lot of players are familiar with. A lot of positives. There are some drawbacks or some things that you might need to consider if you're looking at getting this for yourself. In the case of the 2024 CPs, the bevels that are on the side of the frame here really limits your options when it comes to anything that's going to be holsters. In the case of someone like myself that likes to have a good secondary, especially something that's going to have the ability to shoot a heavier weight BB consistently, I want that as my secondary no matter what. Not just for indoors, something that I also can take outdoors as well and just be that emergency backup. Because of the paddles on the side there, it is extremely limiting as to what holsters I can get or are available to me, especially someone that is more of a milsim player. You can kind of get away with like a 2011 type of frame or pistol as your secondary. But if it's going to be like the Omnivore or that Navrich side clamp, doesn't really fit the bill or the loadout. So that can be a point of concern. In the case of utilizing heavier weight BBs, we have found in our testing utilizing green gas magazines that we can get about 2/3 of a magazine with a 3.6 or 4.0 weight BB. So you will need to re-top off the magazines as you're shooting through these. We've also done bleeding the magazine and refilling it with green gas, trying to get any type of extra atmosphere or oxygen outside of the magazines. When we do these tests with a 2.0 and a 2.5, we can go through the entire magazine no problem. Whatever it is with heavier weight BBs, it just isn't able to go all the way through. And it might just be due to where we are right now. We are getting into the cold season of the eastern coast area, so it is dropping down to about 40 degrees during the day, which is not great for green gas. However, there is that little bit of discrepancy where we can do it, shoot an entire magazine with 2 O's, just not with 3 6s and 4 O's. So something that you might need to consider if you're doing something that's cold weather. And that is just with the stock green gas magazines. CO2 magazines, in my experience, are going to have no issues whatsoever going through the entire magazine, lightweight or with heavyweight. So that is going to need to be an upgrade if you are looking at it for that purpose. Also in our testing, we have found that when it comes to adjusting the trigger, your adjustment points are going to be rather limited. And I will show and demonstrate that with you. So in the case of, having tunability and adjustability, you are not going to have a lot of adjustment degree when it comes to getting something that's going to really shorten your length of pull. So without dialing it all the way in, I've already gotten it to a point where I'm not able to pull the trigger. So then I'll need to back off, bink, 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 bink. And now I can get the entire system to fire and work and operate. So just keep that in mind as well. The last potential drawback that you guys might have with this pistol replica is going to be the price point. It is relatively high considering what you might consider are features and functions on the pistol by itself. And what I have in front of me, pistol and the box, this is not all that is just included. So if you take off the sleeve of your hard case, which, albeit most players are not going to keep their hard cases, but it is very cool and very secure that it does come in a hard case. So you are going to get a coin that is going to be for the brand new MKII HopUp unit and a couple stickers to throw on whatever you want. Your parents' fridge, your car, whatever have you. You have a warranty and an instruction manual that is QR coded, which I appreciate, save on paper. But you are also going to get the new G&G speed loader, and then you're also going to get a secondary magazine that is included. So you get the pistol, 2 magazines, speed loader, and a challenge coin that is going to be limited edition just for the 2024 CPs. So with that, guys, that is going to be the total overview of the 2024 CP from G&G, the brand new gas blowback pistols. If you guys have any further questions, put them down into the comments section below. Hit us up on our brand new Discord. Send us an email. We're always happy to answer those questions if you have any. And if you don't, then I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one.